Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. Today we're talking about helping others apply the feedback that we share with them. Are you ready? Let's get started. We give someone feedback with the hope that they will take some action on it. That's the point of this video. What can we do to improve the chances people take action on the feedback we give them? But before we get to that point, or before they get to that point, there's several other things that must happen. There's some other steps that come first. And this is the last in a series of videos, and each of the other videos talk about one of these steps. You might want to go back and watch them. But even if you don't do that, here's what must happen before we get to people acting. Number one, it must be heard. The feedback that you share with someone must be heard by them. They must hear it and take it in. Second, it must be understood. They must get it. They must understand what you mean and the meaning of it and the value of it. Third, it must be accepted. It's one thing to understand it. It's a whole other thing to say, that's a good idea. I agree. I'm in. But there's still one more thing. All of those things must happen. It must be heard, understood, and accepted before it will be applied. And that's what we're talking about today, is getting it applied. So what can you do to get them to apply the feedback? Because you can't do it for them. They have to do it. So before we get to some very specific ideas, there's something else you need to remember. When we give someone feedback, there's some things that go on in their head and in their heart that we need to keep in mind. Most often when we give someone feedback, these things are going to happen. They may happen in it for a short moment or for a long time, but these steps typically happen. First of all, they may be surprised. I had no idea that that was true, especially if this is negative feedback, but it can be true for positive feedback as well. I had no idea that I did that. Think about someone who, as a public speaker, says and, or other filler words a lot. They might not even be aware that they're doing it. When you give them that feedback, they're initially surprised by it, didn't even know it. Second, they might get angry, especially if it's corrective feedback. They may look at you askance and say, I don't think that's right. I don't agree with you. That's not right. They get angry. At a minimum, there is emotion attached to it. They might get defensive, and the reality is that there will almost always be emotion, maybe for just a moment, maybe for a lifetime. And the third thing is they might rationalize. They might make excuses. Well, I only did it that way because, or that's the way I was taught, or I thought that was the right way to do it. And when they're in those three places, they're not ready yet to accept it. But let's say that you've given feedback in a very effective way, and they are to that point of accepting it. They've gone through the surprise and the emotion and the rationalization, and they're in, right? So even if that's the case, it's still a mental exercise. They have decided intellectually that they're in, but they haven't actually taken action. They haven't actually done anything yet. And that is what must happen next. So since you can't do it for them, what can you do now? They're ready. What can you do to help them actually apply that feedback? First, ask how you can help. How can you help? Ask them what you can do to help them be successful. Because you can't do it for them. This doesn't mean show them how to do it. This doesn't mean go do the sales call for them. This means when you're doing that report in this way, what can I do to help? Is there something else I can do to help you be successful in applying this feedback? Second, be supportive. You may have given them feedback about something that they didn't know they were doing incorrectly, or that they didn't know they were doing well, and you want them to keep doing it that way. You need to be supportive in helping them perhaps make a change moving forward. Be supportive. Next, be encouraging. It may take a while for them to get it. Be encouraging and encourage them. Let them know that you believe in them and that you're still here to help them. So being encouraging, being supportive are important parts of the process. And then lastly, don't stop. Be there, be available, keep encouraging, keep supporting, recognize that it may take some time for them to apply it, especially if the feedback that you're giving is something that may take a little more effort. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you're giving feedback to a peer or whether you're the boss. It doesn't matter if you're giving feedback to your children or your spouse. All of these tips will help you. The reality is there's a bunch of things that must happen in the head of the other person before they make the decision to take action. It's our job to help them get there and then help them take the action. Our intention was good, and it's our job to help them over the finish line. Let me close with today's tweet. Effective feedback isn't a hit and run. It's a journey. If you want to get to the destination, you have to travel with the other person. Each weekday, I create an email. It's called the Daily Email. And what it is a short email with inspiration and ideas and a chance to help you grow as a leader and a human. The goals are the same as these videos, and we hope that you'll join us there. You can get all the information about how to join us on this page. I hope you'll do that. And I hope you'll be back next week for another episode right here of Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast.